a moment. I can start talking right away. I love how it always asks me, hey, YouTube, we're coming live in a moment. I love how YouTube always asks me, even though I set up the meeting, do you know this is being recorded? Are you good with this, or do you want to leave the meeting? I literally started this process.
Start it and walk away.
Yeah. I literally started this. I've always wanted to do that out of amusement. Just say, yeah, no, that's cool. Reassign host duties and leave the meeting because I'm not good with being recorded, right? Oh, so while I'm doing a little bit of setting and click up, welcome to a Syndicate Talks. I'm going to do a little bit of button pushing here, very, very quickly. Then we're actually going to dive in very shortly. This is our second last episode of this season, and it's coming to you hot and heavy, live, right in the middle of December, screaming in towards Christmas season. So anybody watches this in the future wonders why we got colorful backgrounds. Maybe you can see a Christmas sweater over my shoulder, other stuff like that. It's just the time of the year that we're recording these in, but that's okay. It makes it beautiful. It makes it something wonderful and lovely. It makes it a great time of year. It means it's festive, but the information we've got to drive today that we want to be able to share with you is very important. Why? It's about the way businesses do business these days. And the pandemic has certainly led us down a path that means that technology and information is at a premium. It is more important than ever to get right. And so now that I'm just about done the button pushing I need for the moment, I'm going to finish clicking save. We're going to be live here. And here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, live audience on YouTube right now. Everybody else that's going to see this episode later, or as we start to share this here soon, I am your host, Mitch Kamich. Today, I am the Savage in Business. This is a Syndicate Talks, Season 3, Episode 8. And we are coming to you live right now with my brother from another mother, Mr. Shayne Carter from SSI Group. And we are talking about Chief Information Officers, CIOs. And I'm going to make sure that he's got a little pin on him right now. We're going to move some of these screens around for a moment. We are going to spotlight for everybody. I'm going to share the spotlight with them as well for a moment. Add a spotlight. There we go, side by side. YouTube started just us right now. So there's my boy on my screen. He is right there, Shayne. He's going to be talking about the role of CIO, what CIO means. Information is at an all-time premium. The way technology works means that from here to the glowing box I'm talking on to you right now, and all the other glowing boxes we have in our homes, the ones that people put into their pockets, or everything else that we do in life needs to be able to work together. In business, just like in life, information is key. In fact, information and relationships are more valuable now than money, which means that if you have the right information in time and you have the right key relationships through network, your ability to do business, make decisions, and advance yourself, your business, and what you're planning to do becomes more viable, more greatly successful, and more likely to be sustainable long-term. Making sure that information and technology works seamlessly, works right the first time. And when it fails, because technology does, your ability to reconnect, collect that information again is critical. And with that, we've seen the advent of brand new rules, brand new jobs, brand new businesses and industries. This is not your dad's IT firm that hooked up 6 computers and 1 server in the back room anymore. It is more than that. And the way information comes to you in real time as a business owner and leader, even for a little business, is desperately important to get right. And so I have brought in an industry expert. I brought in the smartest man I know, and Shayne's going to go, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. Smartest man I know in exactly this role in our marketplace right now. Why do I know this? Because I work with this man closely on a week-to-week basis, and I watch what he does with his clients as well. Shayne, welcome to a Syndicate Talks Season 3. It is always great to see you, my brother. I always see you in the audiences. I see you in our sister shows, on our other channels, etc. It is a pleasure to have you here. And of course, just to showcase you for our members and for the business community at large. So what the hell is a CIO? What is a CIO? What does he do? Let's start with that one. Let's start with the global perspective, the 50,000 foot view. And while you start to fill people in on that, I'm going to do a little more button pushing in the back end, and then we'll come right back to this and move this conversation along. Sound fair?
Sounds fair.
Awesome.
So CIO has been around for decades, to be perfectly honest. As soon as technology has been in a business, someone has been there to help manage, maintain, and also execute on the vision of the company itself. So a CIO is responsible for all technology, data management, information security, and they're responsible for ensuring that the technology that you're using is being used effectively as well as securely. We want to make sure that they're implementing information and computer technology systems for a company. We are responsible for looking at new trends that are happening in technology, how it can impact and be leveraged in an organization. And they're there to help affect change. So we're looking at the needs of the organization, its people, and who they serve, and how do we best do that through the technology we have right now or the emerging technology that's available in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Dumb it down for me. I'm a CEO. I walk up to you and it's like, I know what's going on with my business.
You do.
I got stuff showing up in my inbox. My secretary, she tells me everything I need to know. I deliberately did that. I deliberately played it as dumb as I possibly could. CIO is a very sophisticated approach to it. So let's narrow it down for a second to even more common language. But man, what you said was vital and powerful. I want to anchor it home. Businesses almost can't get by without a good financial controller of some kind, support in the form of HR. If you send people into the field, you're going to need a safety program at some point. If you're in Canada, the US, it is the law that you have certain rules, regulations, and stipulations, stuff in place to take care of people. And information is also at an all-time critical point too. So let's definitely nail it down, because people need to understand this is not a someday. It's likely a right now.
So there's no, and just to kind of touch on that before we really dumb it down and stuff like that, just to touch on the law portion. So IT as an industry and the enveloping of web development and everything that's IT, there are not a lot of laws that dictate how we do things, but they dictate what happens after something occurs, like a breach or something like that. And so when we're looking at working with organizations and companies like yourself and the CEO that feels that they know all, and most times they do, we're there to be the liaison between your technology and you. We're there to help communicate the business challenge, not the technical challenge, not the technical issues that are going on in the background. We help make that information available for you so you can actually make business decisions more effectively. So when we're talking about budgets and we're talking about, how much your IT budget is, we're the people that works alongside your CFO to help them understand what their actual expenditure is, why it's being spent that way, and why we're asking for more money or less money, depending on the business needs. So to really dumb it down, we are your language translator between technology and you. We are the people that will help you take your vision of your company, the vision of what you're trying to achieve, and the goals that you have, and put the right people and technology in place to help act on that. We do a lot of other things. So we look at secure, like if we want to dive into a little bit of what we do, vendor relations. So where are you buying your technology from? How you're buying your technology? Security and risk management. We're looking at your disaster recovery plan. We're looking at business continuity solutions. We're looking at your cybersecurity solutions. We're looking at strategy and planning, how we actually go about communicating this, how we actually go about designing out your technology and its life cycle. And then also technology guidance and digital transformation. So we're looking at, if you're a brick and mortar business that has a brick and mortar technology solution and you want to be a little bit more nimble, can we move into more of a hybrid solution where you have some technology on premise in your business or in your business locations and some of it in the cloud, or moving directly into a cloud solution where you have no reliance on physical technology in your office space. It's now available completely online through Office 365, Amazon or Azure Web Services. You choose whatever you're looking for at that point in time through our decision-making process.
Fantastic. Well put. Well put. All right. I'm just finishing a little bit of button pushing here. Give me one sec.
Yeah, man.
And we are done. Everything is all live in other places. Hey, if you're seeing this coming to us from LinkedIn, thank you so much for joining us live on YouTube. If you're on the back of the YouTube, please feel free to ask questions. Get at it with Shayne right now while he's here. Go ahead. give us a thumbs up, give us a comment, like whatever it is. And of course, if you're seeing this weeks and months ahead of time, do not hesitate to come find us or come find Shayne himself. We're going to make sure you'll find that information too while we are talking in the future. But here we go. That role is extraordinarily able to think of. If you had to categorize the most common day of, what is that day of the life of CIO? So what should people expect? Like, are you going to show up to my office every day? Are you going to show up every so often? You know, sometimes I'm going to call my IT dude. He's not around for a while. Or if it's a big enough business, I mean, that guy's in there and he's always grumping. He's going to yell at me about my email password. And he's like, I know that you were watching TSN or Pornhub. Like, cut that crap out. It's not that. So what do we expect out of CIO? What is the day in the life? And what is your most common function with your clients?
So a lot of what I've been doing over the past few months has actually been consolidating of technology debt. Debt being the things you bought because you think you need them and you're either underutilizing them or you forgot about them and they're just being an accounts payable issue that you're paying out every single month or every single year. So when I'm doing a discovery with our clients, we're looking at all of the things you have, and we're also trying to find everything you don't have, or you have but you don't know about. And so a day in the life of me in the beginning stages of our relationship, I'm diving deep into what you're paying for, what you've paid for in the past. Is it being utilized? Is it being utilized effectively? So not only is it just being used, but are we actually using a good portion of the offering from that tool set? And then also looking at the people that are using these tools, asking them questions and getting permission, obviously, from their managers to be able to take them away from being productive, and diving into how they're using the technology, how they feel about it. Is there a honey or a wave the magic wand thing that they can that they're thinking about but don't know how to actually find or go look for? So same thing. And then once I've collected all that information, it's a discovery phase that typically can take a couple of days, or it can take a couple of weeks, depending on the complexity of your organization. And then I'm disseminating all that information in a way that I'm looking at a giant business puzzle. You've got this huge, multifaceted, not even like a cube of a Rubik's Cube. It's like a huge dodecahedron sphere of weirdness. And all business has their own individual puzzle. There's some components that are going to be identical to most industries, but each industry has their own individual design. And I'm taking that, I'm mulling it over, I'm writing it down on paper, I'm writing it down on a whiteboard, I'm looking at tools and technologies that match it, and seeing if there's a way that we can streamline what you have. And when I'm looking at streamlining, I'm not necessarily looking at making you spend more money. I'm trying to make you spend less money, or I'm trying to make you spend that money smarter so that it's actually being used more effectively. And then also a part of that, is there a way to create more automation or streamline processes where your staff are more effective in using that technology? Mm-hmm. So is the printer just printing, or can the printer also scan to SharePoint, which is an online document management solution? Or can it do digital conversion or OCR, which is basically take a PDF and make it readable and archivable? And finding ways to better manage your the security of your business as well. How is your information stored? Do you have data residency compliance issues? Data residency being the fact that we can choose where our data is stored in the cloud. For some organizations in some industries, it's required to be stored in Canada, or if you're a US company, in the US, or looking at GDPR, which is the anti-spam solution for the European Union. Ours being CASL or CASL, Canadian Anti-Spam, and the US has their own version as well. So we're looking at all of that and how we're actually communicating both to our clients as well as how we're communicating internally. It's just a giant cluster of a puzzle that I try to make it look as pretty as possible and make it in a way that you can understand it, and then we can have a good conversation about it on what those milestones look like to be able to make these changes happen. How fast do you want it to happen? How seamless do you need it to be? How non-invasive do you need it to be in order to be productive and still service your clients? So day in the life there's a lot.
it's almost like you're centered around both technology, information, and helping people to understand.
Mhm.
What is Shayne's biggest challenge doing this job? What is, and I don't mean what's the biggest challenge you deal with from a client perspective or what you dealt with a customer you've had right now. What is your biggest challenge in doing this? Because I'd have to imagine, and again, maybe I'm seeding the answer here. I'd have to imagine, of course, dealing with the various personalities inside of a business is always going to be a challenge. Getting some people to even see the idea of adoption, never mind adoption itself, or to be able to work with different CEOs, managers. Some people are, then again, from my role, my day-to-day role, people are like, just fix this and tell me when it's done. And other people are like, you better tell me everything you do, because if I don't understand it, I'm not going to authorize it. And then you get that blend in the middle. So what's Shayne's largest challenge on a daily basis?
I mean, those are great. Those are definitely challenges that I face in having all this information available and finding a way that you need it to happen in order to make good decisions. Are you the type of person that needs to micromanage the information and needs to know everything in order to be able to make a good decision, or what you feel is a good decision? So engineering and analytical brains. Or are you a big thinker and get lost in the details? If you get lost in the details, then obviously we shouldn't be speaking at that level. We should be speaking at the bigger picture. And I'll work with your management in order to help bring that information in a way you will understand and a way that they can help you move forward in your business. We're always being inundated with new technology. So the other challenge is vetting that technology. We've got the implementation of spatial recognition software, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, all of this stuff. But is it viable for you right now? Is it something as a research and development should we be investing in or investigating into how we can take that and use it, or at least shelf it where we have enough information to be able to use it in the later road? So managing people, understanding personalities, understanding information, being analytical, and being critical in your analytical thinking as well. So take this information. Is it good? Is it actually going in the direction we need it to? No, cool. Shelf it. Bye. Next one. Sort. Essentially, just sorting and finding the right information, and not taking a lens and focusing from an individual paradigm about it either. It's being very objective about it and being and trying to look at it whether or not it's usable and in its current form. So challenges abound for sure.
Fantastic. What's the biggest problem you've had? Well, yeah, deep breath moment, right? What's the biggest problem you've had a customer lay out in front of you right now? I mean, you've had decades of experience in your industry.
Yeah.
What's the biggest problem or the biggest challenge that you've had to look at right now? Because that's also going to help either build you to the spot where you're at doing what you do right now, or it might be something that we've seen such a shift in the marketplace. Could be emerging, could be persistent or omnipresent technology issue that we just can't bridge. What's one of the biggest challenges you've ever seen a business owner face?
So I have a definite clear one, biggest challenge faced. So my birthday 8 years ago, so a little over 8 years ago now, we had a client come to us in emergency mode. Essentially what ended up happening is their whole data infrastructure died. It didn't exist anymore. Their core servers all died at once. The remote desktop server and all of the crazy stuff that goes on in their organization just essentially died because they were leveraging they were using legacy and old technology to continue to do what they do. And they were a fairly large organization. When they came to us, they're like, yeah, we have like about 90 users that use our internal infrastructure. And after we did an audit, it was actually almost triple that. They had almost 200 users using their services. So a little over double, I apologize. And essentially it was up to myself and one other individual to be like, okay, well, we're in critical issue, disaster recovery. How do we, as a brand new client, how do we help you recover? And we had enough technology, and again, legacy technology that we had sitting on a shelf, not doing anything. We had enough legacy technology to get them up and running and limping 2 days after my birthday. So they were down for roughly 48 to 72 hours. And then we were able to recover enough information off the servers to at least have some function so they could continue to service their clients, oil and gas industry at this point in time. And we then took the next month and a half to go through an ideation and a response to this critical disaster that occurred and create a redundant solution that was not going to just meet today's needs, but also the next 5 to 10 years worth of needs. And so myself and this other individual, we did a complete audit of all their licensing, did a complete audit of all their users and the software they're using and all of this, and essentially built out about a $400,000 redundant network, a redundant solution that covered your internet service, covered the servers. If a few servers died, what would happen? Covered the power supply, covered the networking. All of that was completely redundant. We had 2 of everything in place. And we did hard tests of it. Once they signed off on buying all the hardware, we set it up, we test it. We literally pulled the plug out of the wall and said, this should work. And, we were both, this gentleman and I, we were kind of praying before we unplugged this thing from the wall, because we never really done it before in terms of the hard test like this. And other than a little bit of a blip on the power on the building itself, everything cut over perfectly. There was essentially like a millisecond of interruption, and then everything was functioning again. And just testing really that. So essentially what we did as a test is we just literally pulled plugs on things just to see what would happen as a hard power failure and all of this. And so that was December 18th that everything died. We had everything purchased, set up, and ready to cut over July long weekend. And we did a complete seamless cut, and everything was functional and everybody was happy. There was no real interruption, maybe an hour or 2 on the day of cutover itself, just as a couple hiccups for a couple people. But that was the biggest challenge I have had to come across, is a critical situation like that, where probably about $150 million company didn't have access to their information, and their staff were not productive. They could answer calls, but they couldn't actually go into the system and do estimates and quotes and sales and all of this. So because of a lack of planning, they were in a situation where their business was essentially shut down for almost 72 hours. And that's something I want to help businesses never experience again. I've never really had great birthdays, because for whatever reason, critical failures like to happen on my birthday. It happens to be on the 13th. And so, some Fridays have happened and some Mondays have happened and all of this. And honestly, my dad does not like celebrating my birthday with me. He gets flat tires. I just really want to help businesses navigate the puzzle that there is their business, but also protect them from not only from exterior threats and things like that, but physical failure, and protect you from yourself. The greatest threat to any business is its users and its staff. So if we can help elevate that game through education and mitigation of things, then we're winning. We're beating your competitor just by default, because they're not doing it right. And that's what I want to really help businesses do, is just stay alive, be functional, and in turn generate I'm going to be completely honest, because I know this is an adult show, generate a shit ton of money and stay in the game. That's the end of the day.
All right, now let's do some future prognostication, because again, we're talking about value, talking about challenges that we've met, stuff like that. Has to be future proofing as well. I am 100% convinced that with the way the market has been disrupted, and I mean our global marketplace, our global economy has been disrupted with the pandemic, and now the shift in logistics infrastructure, with the way information in real time is its commodity itself, but our inability to appropriately truck certain things to certain places, etc., that now our opportunity to trade information off first. Imagine being able to find out what the inventory of milk is on the shelf of your local grocery store. And I'm not asking you whether or not we can do this, but I'm saying that imagine these things for a moment. We have smart fridges that allow you to create your shopping list in real time, that allow you to view the contents inside your refrigerator. We can watch people working in real time, whether that's invasive or not for a moment. We can literally, people do this. We can add metrics, diagrams, diagnostics, statistics. We can monitor people's health while they're working. We can make sure to map pressure and stress times and incidents. We can increase the likelihood that both information and personnel deployment happen in spots where companies are going to presuppose conflict. Yep. Why do you think Amazon, UPS, Canadian Postal Service, etc., will all hire more employees coming in towards Christmas? It's simple. They know that there's just going to be a higher need for people capital and further logistics, etc., as we're moving into this. So let's look at the future. The roles that we've talked a little bit about today, but the ones specific to you. Things like CFOs, CTOs, CIOs, etc., are starting to become more fractional, more contract-based, or the kind of role where one person could fill the same job with many companies. But we have to be able to know what we're working towards too, because we get industries or businesses right now that have no clue that they even need somebody to help them manage technology and information. Now, once they take that leap, it's understanding literally where we are from a technology standpoint now, but what we should expect tomorrow, in a month, in a year, integration with AI and that. Again, yeah. Well, one of the challenges, one of the joys you have in the role, and this is conversations we've had in other places of time, but that has to be a strong consideration for you and something you take to your clients and customers. What do we have to be aware of?
So there's a huge push for machine learning, and that machine learning is essentially, it's taking aggregate information and applying deep analytics to it. And that deep analytics is how that information was received, what it's actually collecting, and how it can be used to make prognostications, good word, by the way, on future growth and on future change in your business. One thing that is really interesting is actually how product-based industries are leveraging spatial reality. So with the advent of Google VR, like Facebook VR glasses and all of this, having that heads-up display and be able to walk into a grocery store and say that, hey, I have food allergies. Show me all the food that doesn't have these ingredients, or I'm looking to utilize a keto diet. Show me all the foods I can eat, and essentially blank out as you're walking. It blanks out everything else on that aisle, knowing that almonds are on this level and in this spot in this grocery store, and it knows that because the grocery store has fed information to the spatial reality solution that they know at any given time how much product is on the shelf, what's on the back shelf, where it is, what its expiry dates are, and then it pairs itself with recipe lists and food considerations. So if you're diabetic, or if you're keto or vegan, or you're pick your thing. And I'm picking on the food industry for a second, only because it's interesting to see the leverage of machine learning as well as spatial reality. And I'm using spatial reality, but you could also coin in augmented reality solutions, right? And so taking that same concept, how do you apply that to your workforce? So if you're in a heavy product industry, such as providing nuts and bolts at Home Depot, or all of that hardware, have your staff be able to help sort product and pick lists that much faster. We already have technology such as Amazon, where they have their own robots that are doing it. But if we could also have our staff be that much more effective, they don't necessarily need to, you can make a brand new staff member that much more effective and workable that much sooner with tools like that. So they carry an iPad around instead of VR glasses or whatever. They're carrying an iPad around in real time because it's got a camera on it. It can see everything, and it can help start sorting and finding what you're looking for. So you're given a product list to be able to pick for a client that's probably 20, 30, 40 SKUs worth of product in different areas in your warehouse. and your iPad is telling you that, oh, well, you just need to go to aisle 14, row 3, call and two sections up, and that's going to be your first SKU, so on and so forth. So it's already mapping out the most efficient route within your warehouse to be able to get what you need to do. And you can give that to someone essentially on day one. As long as they pass their safety course and they've given HR all of their information, they can be workable on day one. Same idea, taking all that machine learning, how can we take that technology, how can we take that emerging solution and apply it to finance, apply it to the real estate industry, apply it to audiovisual. We have Keith on here with Crown Automation, and that's why I'm pairing in with this. We have all of these audio and camera technologies. Are there better ways or different ways that we can use this technology? So and this is all things that float inside my head as we're talking with companies. Depends on how future ready they are or how much they want to be looking in the future rather than just looking at tomorrow's numbers and tomorrow's sales and all of that. How far can I take your brain into the future and find the big vision ideas that you're doing and then essentially reverse engineer it? What's that big vision? What are you trying to do? Do we have the right technologies in our marketplace to be able to do that right now? Or are we savvy enough to be able to generate or build it ourselves? And if we're savvy to build it ourselves, let's get the right people, let's get the right tools, let's get the right solutions available to us to be able to do that R&D ourselves. And that's what we're seeing. And then when we're talking about the fractionalization of the C-suite, so your HR, your marketing, your finance, your IT, and you had mentioned CTO and CIO. So chief technology officer typically focuses more on the development, the software and the inner workings of that portion of technology. Your CIO is more outward facing. We're looking at the infrastructure itself, your data and how it's protected and utilized. So when we're talking about fractionalization of the C-suite, that's a response to where we're at today with our pandemic and with our economy and its shift towards deeper information analytics and all of that. Essentially, businesses are going to be able to buy their C-suite. So you got a CEO that's got a great vision, great thing. They've got a great product. Now let's get fractional HR, fractional marketing, fractional sales, all of that for we'll take a very conservative number for half the cost of what it would be to hire someone internally, but still get the same level of productivity and aptitude in your business that you would get from someone that's full-time without having to pay for benefits, without having to pay for profit shares. Could be built into the contract, who knows, depending on the role and the capacity. Not having to worry about actual payroll. It's an expense to your business rather than a payroll deduction. There's many reasons to be technically using fractional services.
I got two comments right now. I got to share both of them right now. Both from obviously inside our Syndicate family. One came from Lorette. She had to drop it right after you. Hashtag shit ton of money. Absolutely love that comment for a moment.
Yeah.
And our other brother, Ali, just chimed in and says Shayne is dropping some awesome value bombs. So if you're watching, you see this in the future. This is the advent of where technology and information are getting married. Yeah. I'm going to say it again. This is where technology and information are going to marry each other in business. If you are not considering, have looked at, or even have any understanding, and by the way, if you've listened to Shayne talk for 30 minutes now, still don't know what a CIO is, your business is going to die. 100%, I am convinced that the further we get into the technological world that is developing and that is pushed forward into the pandemic, your business will die if you don't adopt some of what you've heard today for your business, because you will constantly be behind your competitors. And all the blood, sweat, and tears, while it will get you to a certain level of success, will not keep you there. Your competitors are coming for you. They are smarter than you. They are better than you at what on what technology can provide to them. And every time they make their business a little more efficient, they are strengthening up and getting ready to take you out. And they're not even actively coming for you. They'll just wipe you out without a second thought because they've got access to better information. Now, Shayne, I'm going to ask a question I don't often ask when it comes to Syndicate Talks as well. It's something that's usually implied. We've heard the passion of you today. What do you love about what you do? It's normally something we take from another standpoint. What do you love about what you do? And what are you excited to see what comes up next? Normally, we talk about the mechanics, the way they deliver, what customers and clients should expect. We got some heavy information, really good stuff. But I actually want you to tell people what you love about your job and what are you excited to see coming forward. Because if you're in CIO, you're looking at that marriage between technology, information, all that good stuff. What are you looking forward to next, even if you don't know how it's going to turn out?
So something this has been something that I've been passionate about since I came into the workforce a long time ago, is client experience. And I came from the hospitality industry first, worked in that industry for a better part of 10 years, and then fell into IT by accident, essentially. So we're taking a very person-centric role and taking someone who delivers an experience. So as a bartender or as a server or hotel management or what have you, we're providing an experience, one that is elevated beyond what our competitors offer. There's a reason you came to us versus them and all of that. And taking that same passion for delivery of experience and applying it to technology. That's something that I really love doing, is being able to help you as an owner, you as a decision maker, have an experience of technology that has been different than what you had before. When we're talking about technology, I want you to be able to relate with it, because when you can relate with it, then you believe in it. And then you actually want to be using it or want to have conversations around it, rather than it just being an expense on the balance sheet and, dropping an F-bomb, a fucking nightmare for you. Let's get beyond the fucking nightmare and let's make it now a dream. They're both dreams. One's a negative one. Let's make it a positive one. Let's take that transition of a nightmare and disseminate that information. Why is it a nightmare? What about technology is your issue? Is it the fear of change? Is it the lack of understanding or the perception of lack of understanding? That's the biggest thing. People are smart. We've failed forward so many times that we're the apex in economy. We're the apex in species on our planet. We do a lot of dumb things, don't get me wrong. But as a species, we're really smart. We just don't necessarily know how to relate with something. And that's something that I really enjoy doing, is being able to talk to a mechanic who says, I know nothing about computers and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, the only difference between the one on the desk and the one that you work with is the one that you work with has four tires and can drive away. Yeah. The computer on your desk isn't. So if you can help relate those two things, or helping a CEO understand that, you probably shouldn't send that email out because it looks spammy or anything else like that. If we can help make that relationship happen between not just me and you, but also you and the technology you're using, I've won. I have found success in what I'm doing. And something that I'm looking forward to with SSI and the future of fractional CIO is, you touched on it, is that marriage between information and people, solving that people technology gap. The more effective someone is in utilizing technology, the faster things happen. The faster our technology overlords come and we start praying to Google, or leverage it, or spending way more money with Amazon than we should be. But when we are able to solve that people technology gap, we have solved a huge issue that's been present in such a new technology. We've really only had computers for what, 35, 40 years, and like actual computers. We've had mainframes for decades, but that's a different conversation. It's when we can take that perception of I'm a technology Luddite or I'm technology illiterate and change the conversation, saying, hey, you know what? I don't know enough about technology to do what I'm doing, but I'm interested to know more. Sparking that interest. That's what I'm looking forward to. Do I know how to do it every day? No. But I go out of my way to figure out ways to be able to relate with people and to help people relate with technology and play that role within what I do.
Fantastic, Bob, brother. Oof. Great information coming in here. If somebody had to start in one spot, you got 30 seconds to make a point for where people should start on their own managing this data, and then when they need to make the decision to come to you. What do you say to them? Or I'll put you on the spot right now, so you can take a second to think about it. Okay. But what do you say to them? How do you set that table and tone? It's not just about sales, But I just the time he's like, okay, Shayne, what should I focus on? What should I take care of myself? I run a little business where it's just me and it's 2 or 3 people. What should I be mindful of? What's the shit I should take care of myself? What's the stuff that I can do to better prepare, better manage what's going on, etc. And when do I go, okay, I have to bring Shayne in to handle this, manage this for me?
30 seconds. To be perfectly honest, a really good starting point for any business is, where do you store your information? Is it on your computer? Is it in Gmail? Is it in a Word document for passwords? If you don't know where your technology is and you don't know how much you're spending on technology, that's a perfect time to start talking to me. If you don't know where your information is being stored and you just know you have it, that's a great time to be talking to me. And if you are scared of the information you're giving to the world, or you don't even know what you're giving to the world, that's important. Let's have a conversation about that as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's my 30-second pitch.
Okay, perfect. My brother.
Time flew.
I love spending time with you, man. Shayne and I have been talking for years now.
Mhm.
We've been talking for 5 or 6 years now. And every time I talk to him, I always leave having learned so much more. Shayne, final thoughts, parting comments before we wrap this up for the day.
It's going to go towards social media. When you're utilizing social media, you're giving up a piece of yourself every single time. You're giving it to the world and never going to be able to know how it's being used, where it's being used, why it's being used. So when you're posting seamlessly innocuous information about, what is a really good one that really was interesting to read real quick was, there was a post on Facebook on some public page saying, this is Son Month. You're in jail for however many days until your son's birthday. What is your son's birthday? When would that be? And I had a close friend of mine post about it, and they posted about it. And I was like, I read the information and I went to this person. I'm like, you realize that you not only identified that you have a son, that's public information. You can get that pretty easily. Not only did you identify that their birthday is in, this month, but how many days until that occurred. So they can look at the date of when you posted that and collect the amount of days moving forward as to how long you're in jail. Well, now your information is in jail because you've given them the person's name, the month they were born, the day they were born. And now all I have to guess is, you're probably in your 50s. So your son is probably around, 20, early 20s. And now they have probably 5 to 10 years of guessing as to what the birthday is. So they have a name, a birthday, a location, relationships. How is that information being used? Why are you giving this information to the world? Is it fun to do puzzles like that? Yeah, because it engages your brain. But it's not engaging the right part of your brain. Why are you giving this information out? Think about what you're posting. Think about what you're having conversations about. And is that information how can it be used for you and against you? And then say, is it worth giving that information? Social media is great. It's fun, but it's also dangerous.
Oh, brilliant, my brother. So much. Shayne, thank you for doing this. Thank you for sharing this information, your expertise. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters of the tribe, future Syndicate Talks episode watchers. By the way, watch for us. We're going to be on Amazon Prime in the new year. You're going to be able to find all seasons of Syndicate Talks, all 3 up to this date and time, on Amazon Prime coming up in the new year. It's an exciting announcement that we've got going forward in 2022. Shayne Carter, SSI Group, CIO, Chief Information Officer. He does this for companies and businesses, big and small, all day, every day. And he helps to manage this most essential, critical, and vital, all those words I know mean the same thing, part of your business. Just as valuable as the money and the people you bring in is the information, the way you manage it. You've got to get that right. Shayne, thank you so much for coming on to a Syndicate Talks. This is, of course, I am Mitch Camage. That's Shayne Carter. This is Syndicate Talks, Season 3, Episode 8, right? All about the CIO, baby. CIO's in the house. It's all about what they can do, how they're going to help, and what they're going to drive your businesses forward into the future. Your business must get future-proof. You got it here today. Thank you so much for joining us. To our audience, watch for the previous 7 episodes of this season. This is episode 8. We got one more episode in the season. Check out season 1 and 2 as well. And as I said a moment ago, watch for us on Amazon Prime. You're going to watch all those seasons of Syndicate Talks available on Prime coming up in 2022. It's an exciting way for us to go. Thank you so much for joining us today on a Syndicate Talks Season 3. I am your host, Mitch Kamich. Of course, Shayne Carter is with me. It has been a pleasure to share with you today. Watch the next episodes. Become smarter as a business owner amongst our tribe. This is the free share of information we give away to make you better at your job, at running a business. And when you need something, all you have to do is reach out. We bring the best in the business to you to provide information and education for free. This is your litmus test and your range to become better at business for you.